Bitch, I'm stylish. Glock talk, big t-shirt, Billy Eilish. Watch on my wrist, but I want that diamond. Niggas talk crazy when I pull up.
Yuki Wakura is just the average loser student waiting to get a harem of his own. He lives in a city where girls who eat a special fruit known as peaches can obtain unique superpowers. But men are not affected by the fruit and are left in the dirt. Now, Yuki is the resident male wife of the school. He knows how to cook, clean, and sew buttons. His classmates are impressed by his abilities, but Yuki doesn't think he's that amazing. He only knows how to work like this because his sister would kill him if he didn't take care of her things properly. But the topic of Yuki's sister is a total downer to the conversation, and he heads back ashamed of being a buzzkill. While crossing a bridge, two siblings run past him with carefree joy as Yuki stares on. He's feeling quite frustrated at the moment because he only wants to be useful to others. While he vents his frustration, the world around him slowly fills up with fog and everything turns invisible. A strong wind causes Yuki to brace himself as the fog slowly clears up and reveals a dark, shadowy world. Yuki has teleported to Meito, the demon capital. He starts to panic and pulls out his phone for some more information. The phone explains that Meito are alternative dimensions that suddenly appear all over Japan. Citizens who find themselves inside a Meito are instructed to stay put and wait for the Demon Defense Force to come and rescue them. Yuki decides to follow the advice, but immediately he is attacked by Shuki, monsters that live within the Meito. The giant Shuki slams its fist into Yuki and barely misses. Yuki uses his skinny legs to run for his life, but he doesn't make it far because his path is blocked by a rock wall. He doesn't even try to show 1 ounce of bravery and slumps down like a wimp. Yuki doesn't know how to fight like a man, so he tries throwing some rocks, but the monster is only further aggravated. Yuki thinks that he will die in this place, but he's saved by the first member of his growing harem, who arrives just in time to save him. She comes charging in with her beast and Yuki stares, hoping the girl rides him like that as well. Yuki only watches in awe as the girl pulls out her sword and jumps into action. She is fast and agile as she swiftly slices down the swarm of Shukis one by one. Even though the beast that she was riding is torn apart by the other Shuki, the girl doesn't waver and continues wiping out the monsters like bugs. She tells Yuki that her name is Kyuka Uzun, and she is the commander of the Demon Defense Force 7th Squad. Since Kyuka is the one with the balls in this relationship, she tells Yuki to stay behind her and uses her powers to turn one of the fallen Shuki into her slave. Yuki follows her like a puppy and grabs onto her as they embark on the monster and try to get away from the rest of the Shukis. Yuki continues his impression of a scared little girl and holds on to Kyuka very tightly, but she doesn't care. They are still being chased down and need to find a way out. As they make their escape, a gunshot takes down one of the Shukis and Yuki notices 3 girls following them in a military vehicle. These girls are the other members of Kyuka's squad, namely Himari Azuma, Nei Okawamura, and Shushu Saruga. Kyuka asks them for an update and they tell her that there are no other survivors in the area. Nei then uses her abilities to do a thorough search for the area and finds that there are more Shuokis headed their way. Kyuka tells the girls to deal with the incoming monsters while she takes care of Yuki. The girls spring into action and use their abilities to take down the Shuokis. Himari's ability allows her hand to turn into a powerful gun which she uses to shoot down monsters, while Suruga has the ability to grow really big and stomp over her enemies. Yuki is incredibly impressed because this is his first time seeing more than one girl talking to him and caring about him. While Yuki and Kyuka try to find refuge, the other members of the squad have already taken care of the monsters in their area, and now they have a little boy with them. Himari commends Ni and Suruga for their efforts, but they must continue because they have a child that needs protection. The boy slowly wakes up and tells everyone that his sister is missing inside the Meito as well. Everyone is alarmed at hearing, but they don't know that Kyuka has already tracked down the other child. The sister is standing on the edge of a cliff as a Shuki is drawing closer to her. Yuki watches the dumb child almost die, but Kyuka jumps in with her beast and saves the falling girl. She then commands her beast to dodge, but it is too slow and everyone ends up falling off. Kyuka, Yuki, and the little girl are now in the heat of the swarm as an army of Shuki gathers around them. Kyuka uses her amazing sword skills to take them down, but it is not enough. She produces a sigil and pins it into the ground with her sword, which creates a temporary protective barrier. Kyuka tells the others not to panic, and she tries to think of a plan. She curses her Peach's blessing and recalls how everyone thought her ability was too useless and that she would never be a supreme commander. But Kyuka is determined, and she decides to test out her powers on Yuki. She goes over to Yuki and informs him that she needs his help to rescue everyone. Since Yuki has been useless most of his life, he happily agrees, but his smile falls off as Kyuka tells him that from now, Yuki is her slave. Kyuka tells the child to close her eyes and ears. She then pins Yuki to the ground and tells him to lick her fingers like a hungry dog. Without hesitation, Yuki takes on the offer, and he doesn't even feel any shame as his tongue licks Kyuka's fingers. As soon as this contact is made, a slave collar appears around his neck, and he turns into a powerful-looking beast known as the Eternal Chains Slave. The other girls from the squad also watch in amazement as Yuki turns into Kyuka's monster slave. The transformed Yuki tears down the Shuuki, while Kyuka is amazed that he would turn into something so strong. She grabs the girl and hops on Yuki's back and commands him to fight. Yuki tears through all of the Shuki because he likes that Kyuka is riding him like a dominatrix. They fight their way through the monsters and reunite with the other squad members. The siblings run to each other crying, but in the distance, the rest of the Shuki are merging with each other to transform into a bigger threat. Yuka tells everyone to stay back while she embarks on Yuki and faces the giant monster. Yuki jumps towards the beast and rushes forward, allowing Kyuka to stab the monster in the face, causing it to die in a huge explosion. Yuki transforms back into his human self and slumps down. Once the dust has settled, Kyuka tells the rest of the squad members to go ahead without her since she isn't done subjecting Yuki to more harem shenanigans. She tells Yuki that his abilities far exceeded her expectations, and she wants him to become her slave. Since a slave is the only job that really suits Yuki, he accepts and watches Kyuka bend down and kiss him intensely to the point of sucking his face off. He stares in shock as Kyuka explains that her ability makes her obligated to reward her slaves, and the kiss was a reward for Yuki. Kyuka asks him if she should kiss him again, but Yuki only whimpers like a child and accidentally flings off Kyuka's hat. But this was just a pro-gamer move to let Kyuka do more stuff to him. As if moving against her will, Yuki cannot believe that his first kiss happened inside a demonic realm, while Kyuka explains to him that her main goal is to become the Supreme Commander, and with Yuki's help, she can reach her full potential, even though Yuki tells her that he is only good at housework and doesn't have any other abilities or strength. Kyuka still wants Yuki to join the defense force. All of a sudden, Yuki finds himself standing in front of the Demon Defense Force dormitory, and this impressive-looking building is going to be his workplace from now on. Yuki thinks he is going to be some brave commander as well, but Kyuka shatters his little dream and introduces him as the caretaker to the rest of her squad, and his fantasies vanish. The other girls in the squad all have varying reactions to Yuki becoming their caretaker. Kyuka tells Yuki that out in the battlefield he will act as her slave, and at home he will work as a caretaker. It doesn't take long for the girls to dump their housework on Yuki, and now he is expected to clean, cook, and do their laundry. Yuki begins his work at the dormitory and starts off with cleaning the entire bridge. He pats himself on the back for a good job, but when he turns around, a Shuki emerges out of nowhere and tries to attack him. Thankfully, the barrier around the dormitory stops the monster from breaking through. Yuki is scared by this and backs away, but Nai appears, and this little girl has to explain the situation to a grown-ass man. These monsters are a regular sight for them because their dormitory is located in a rather aggressive area. The Meido is as big as Tokyo, and it is divided in sections. Each section has its own squad and dormitory located. But Yuki is still worried and wonders if it is okay for a monster to be lurking around nearby. Just then, Himari appears and shoots down the monster and almost kills Yuki in the process as well. She acts very arrogantly and tells Yuki to be grateful that they let a man like him work at the dormitory in the first place. Yuki then prepares a lavish meal for the girls, and everyone is impressed by his cooking. Even Himari has to put her ego aside and ask for more food, and Yuki happily obliges, but for a second Yuki comes out of his harem fantasy, dazes and remembers he isn't there to be a maid, and tries to follow up on his original role with Kyuka. This makes Himari angry, and she turns her hand into a katana and almost slices his neck off. Kyuka has to tell her to back down. She understands that it is uncomfortable to have a man around, but Koyuka needs Yuki. She vows to twist him off if he ever does anything wrong, and Yuki does not want to imagine exactly what Kyoko wants to twist. After their meal, Yuki has to clean the watchtowers, but he gets a full frontal show of Himari taking a bath. He backs down, trying to hide, but Shushu catches him. She takes a picture of him, trying to sneak a look, and blackmails him. Shushu is the classic pervy tease and has great interests in Yuki and wants him to become her slave as well. The following day, Shushu reads a manga while Yuki is cleaning up. He wants to get an opportunity to grab her phone and delete the picture, but it won't be that easy. Yuki tries to take Shushu's phone when she accidentally drops it, but she is quick with her fingers and picks it up, leaving Yuki to grab her underwear instead. Yuki immediately backs down and throws the underwear away, but Shushu only laughs. Since she considers Yuki to be more of a pet than a man, she doesn't mind if he holds on to her intimate items. Yuki then picks up the underwear again and tries to act professional, even though he definitely wants to sniff it in private, but Shushu takes another picture of him holding it. Shushu now has 2 risky pictures of Yuki, and he wonders how to deal with it, but he is interrupted by the sound of Kyuka and Himari training with each other. Yuki stares in awe as he watches Kyuka take down a nearby Shuki with just her powerful kicks and punches. Just then, Nae appears and lets him know that he will be spending the day alone with Shushu while the rest of the squad will go for a meeting. Yuki is worried about being left alone with Shushu, especially since she is one slip-up away from pinning him down with her melons. Yuki ends up giving Shushu a massage like a true submissive boy toy, and he wants to back away, but seeing her chest from such a great angle makes him stay for a while. Shushu is impressed by his massaging skills and tells Yuki that she went to an all-girls school, which is why she is interested in him. Shushu only cares about fun and excitement, and this is why she joined the squad in the first place. After the massage, Shushu wants to play video games with Yuki, but there is a catch. She tells him that whoever loses will have to remove one piece of clothing. Yuki thinks it is finally his time to have some fun, and he eagerly accepts, but he ends up being a complete loser in video games as well. Yuki now sits awkwardly in his underwear, and since he has lost the final match, Shushu wants him to get completely naked. She is eager to see the rest of his package, but Yuki has to stop her. He tries to act like a man and warns Shushu, but only makes himself look even more pathetic. Shushu uses her powers to make herself into a giant fetish dream girl. She then holds him like a doll and pins him down with her juicy rear end. Yuki begins to spiral into insanity as the last vestige of his manhood is mocked mercilessly, but their fun is interrupted when they hear a giant Shuki approaching the barrier. The monster punches the barrier and leaves a crack, which causes Yuki to worry, but Shushu remains casual. She uses her paradigm shift ability to make herself really big and faces the monster head-on. Shushu grabs the beast, spins him around and sends it flying in the air. She then kicks it right in the face and the monster dies. But the danger is not yet over, because another Shuki emerges behind her, this one even more menacing than before. Shushu tries to use her powers to make herself bigger, but she is stuck in her current state because smaller Shuki are tackling her from before. The bigger monster slams her into the ground, and Yuki watches in horror as he feels helpless. Yuki realizes that he transformed into his own beast state when he kissed Kyuka's hand, so the dumbass thinks that kissing her clothing will have the same effect, and surprisingly, it works. He kisses Kyuka's dirty glove but only feels a little turned on. He then goes for something saucier and kisses her blouse. This causes his leg to transform, but it isn't permanent. Yuki has to make a drastic move and takes one of Kyuka's boots. He has no choice but to lick it like an obedient dog. Not that he minds degrading himself like that. He uses the force of his tongue to lick every inch of the boot and makes an awkward half-transformation, which seems to work. He runs toward Shushu and tells her to hold down the monster. Yuki then leaps into the air, and with one punch blows the Shuki away. Things start to calm down, and Shushu is grateful for Yuki's help. But she gets another surprise when she sees Yuki's package fully loaded. She finds herself a little turned on as Yuki turns away with shame. The rest of the squad members return, and Kyuka has to give Yuki another reward for his transformation, but this time the reward is a painful back massage. Kyuka tells Shushu not to overexert herself, and when the rest of the girls leave, Shushu takes the opportunity to sit on Yuki, and he acts all flustered but definitely silently enjoys it. She shows Yuki another compromising picture she took of him, and is ready to blackmail him again. but Shushu is genuinely interested in him and not willing to let her little pet go astray. Yuki and Kyuka use a portal to fast travel to the city where Kyuka has some business. Once they arrive, Yuki obediently waits around for Kyuka to be done, and when she comes back out again, she is wearing her casual clothes. Yuki is blown away by how beautiful Kyuka is, and the two of them make their way towards a Mato mishap memorial. Kyuka places some flowers at the memorial site and tells Yuki that a long time ago, some Shuki escaped into the real world and killed a lot of people. Amongst them was a special Shuki with a singular horn on its head, and it was incredibly dangerous. Kyuka still remembers how this one-horned Shuki killed everyone around her, and since that day, she has vowed to hunt down that beast and kill it once and for all. Once they are done paying respects at the memorial, Yuki tells Kyuka that he wishes to stop at a popular cafe to try a new dessert. Kyuka reluctantly agrees, even though she is worried about Mato. Yuki understands and tells her that his sister went missing during a Mato mishap and misses her greatly, but if they don't take a break every once in a while, they are bound to collapse and not be able to help anyone. Their dessert finally arrives, and Kyuka is surprised by the delicious taste. The duo enjoys a brief moment of respite, but then Kyuka is sent a warning signal from the other squad members. There is an emergency, and Kyuka must make haste. Kyuka is not bothered by traumatizing the children at the cafe with her messed up reward, and tells Yuki to lick her fingers right then and there, so that he can transform into the beast and travel to the dormitory faster. Once they arrive, Kyuka tells Yuki that she is going to change, but she wants him to follow as well. It is once again time for Yuki's reward, and this time his inner foot fetish comes out as Kyuka tells him to put on her stockings. It seems that Kyuka's reward manifests in whatever perverted desire Yuki harbors. After they are done, they join the rest of the squad members, and Himari informs Kyuka that a crater has appeared, and it seems to be harboring an alarming number of Shuuki. Kyuka decides to destroy the nest, and squad springs into action. They arrive at the crater, and Shushu immediately transforms into her giant fetish version to take down the nest. Himari also fires up her abilities and attacks the monsters. Kyuka and Yuki watch on as the other squad members destroy the nest, but then Shushu is attacked by a powerful beam and she falls down. The unicorn Shuki has arrived, and sitting on top of the creature is a woman who looks like a deranged mommy type. This woman looks like a humanoid Shuki that a teenage boy would jerk off to, and she uses her mouth to send another powerful beam towards Himari and takes her down. Kyuka gets all fired up because her main target has finally arrived. She is ready to take down the unicorn Shuki, but the strange woman tells her that she is looking for her brother. Kyuka and Yuki go against the unicorn, while its master basically explains the entire plot of the story and mentions that she used to have a brother who adored her, but then he grew up and became a degenerate. She is just about to reveal his name, as if it isn't obvious, when another Shuki interrupts her and she punishes it by tearing it apart. Yuka understands that this woman is the Shuki's leader and tries to attack, but fails miserably. The woman then goes directly for Yuki and is about to tear him apart, but for a brief moment it looks like the two recognize each other. Yuka gets between them and injures the woman, which causes her to flee with the unicorn. But Kyuka is blindsided by rage and commands Yuki to go after them. When he doesn't respond, Kyuka realizes that her squad members are in danger and makes herself calmer so that she can help her friends survive. The group returns back to the dormitory where Shushu and Himari receive medical care. Meanwhile, Kyuka gives Yuiki his next reward, and she uses her foot to step on his whiner while he squirms around. Even in this awkward position, Kyuka talks to Yuki about their last battle. Yuki tries his best to speak while Kyuka works hard on his tiny friend. He tells her that he thinks that the woman they ran into may be his sister who went missing in a Mato mishap. He isn't sure about this hypothesis because he is stupid, but believes it to be true. Kyuka has never heard of a human surviving inside a Mato, but she is sure that they will have a run-in with the unicorn and its master again. She then begins to step on Yuki's face, while he enjoys the view of Kyuka's underwear and gets double the reward. After the entire ordeal ends, Yuki continues his house duties and cooks dinner, but he has no brain cells left. He almost burns down the dish, but Nai arrives just in time and tells him to be careful. She shows concern for him, and Yuki is glad that at least someone in this house is not after his schlong. Yuki then takes a bath, but a very naked Shushu interrupts him with her badonkers and offers to wash his back. Yuki is tempted to turn around and look at her, and once he sees Shushu's bouncers, he runs away only to run into Himari, who also has her melons out. She gets super angry and chases Yuki around the house with a chainsaw. Himari manages to corner him and is about to attack, but they are interrupted by a portal opening in the hallway. The commander of the 6th Squad, Tenka Izumo, and the second-in-command, Yachiho Azuma, step forward and introduce themselves. Tenka quickly dashes over to Yuki and gets uncomfortably close to him. It is obvious she will be joining the Yuki reward system soon. Tenka and Yachiho have arrived to discuss the emergence of Shuuki that look like humans. Yachiho, who is Himari's elder sister, makes fun of her for getting defeated by this new type of Shuki. She continues to mock her sister relentlessly, calling her weak and pathetic. Kyuka notices the tension and proposes an inter-squad competition between the two sisters. This will allow them to ascertain the stronger individual. Tenka accepts and the 6th Squad leaves for now. Himari is fired up and asks Kyuka if she can use her ability for the duel. Kyuka accepts, and from now on Yuki is going to serve as a slave to Himari as well, which means double the juicy reward for him. Yuki makes ramen for everyone as they discuss the upcoming competition. He still isn't sure why he has to be Himari's slave as well, but Kyuka is determined that Himari should use this opportunity to teach her sister a lesson. Later on, Yuki and Himari head off for their training, and she explains her true ability to him. Himari's real ability is to learn other people's powers and use them for herself. She decided to pick Kyuka for this occasion because of her power level. Yuki and Kyuka come across a horde of Shuukis, and they prepare to fight. Yuki kisses Himari's hand and transforms into a beast, but this one is different from his usual beast form. His new form is faster and much more agile, even though his strength has decreased a little bit. Yuki uses his new speed to kick down Shukis in a rapid procession, while Himari watches in awe at his reflexes. Once they are done fighting, Yuki transforms back, but he is stunned when Himari lifts up her skirt and flashes him directly with her underwear. She can't seem to control herself and doesn't know why she's doing it. Yuki explains that Kyuka's ability works like that, and they have to wait for it to end. The ride back to the dormitory is awkward, and Yuki tells Himari to use another ability, but she is determined to stick with Kyuka's skills, even if she has to do indecent things. Himari explains that all of her sisters are accomplished in the field of melee defense, but she would always be left behind because she was born a complete loser. This made her the point of ridicule and teasing within her household, especially from Yachiho, and now she must use Yuki to prove her worth. Himari wants to become a hero just like Kyuka, and in order to ensure her victory against her sister, they need to come up with a finishing move. Yuki agrees, especially since he will one day have to face the Unicorn Shuki again, and this will serve as good training. Himari and Yuki continue their training, and she explains that her sister has the ability to manipulate time, but it also makes her exhausted more quickly. They can use this to their advantage and come up with a strategy that brings her down quickly. Yuki suggests a speed-related attack, which will strike down Yachiho in one move. He focuses his powers in his legs and makes them stronger to move faster. Yuki tests out his strategy on a Shuuki, but it doesn't die right away. He transforms back into his normal self, and this time his reward is a simple pat on the head. The duo continues to look for other ways to increase their attack, and Kyuka briefly joins them. She finds it admirable that Himari has made so much progress, but Kyuka wants her to join Yuki instead of watching from the sidelines. Himari jumps on top of Yuki and commands him forward. Together, they are more powerful, and Yuki manages to take down the Shukis in one powerful hit. His next reward is even more great as Himari takes off clothes and exposes her bouncers for Yuki. This motivates him further, and he gets fired up. Over the next couple of days, Yuki and Himari train together and perfect their skills. The time for the duel finally arrives and members of the 6th Squad make their entrance. Before the competition starts, Himari takes a bath with Shushu and expresses her excitement for the fight ahead. Since the reputation of the squad is on the line, she is ready to do her best. Himari then has a run-in with Yachiho, who makes fun of her for being so lax, but Himari does not let her sister bring her down. With Yuki by her side, she is sure that they will achieve victory. The duel begins and Jinna Bison, a member of the 6th Squad, uses her ability to create a special arena. Anyone who gets hurt within this ring will be healed immediately, and the barrier can stop thousands of Shuki. Jinna is excited to be there, but she stares at Yuki with a cold look, not bothering to care for a lowlife like him. Yachiho and Himari step forward for their match, and Yuki also makes his transformation. The duel begins, and before Yachiho can even finish talking, Yuki goes in for an attack and slams her back. Yachiho is furious and uses her ability to rewind time. Even though the attack went to waste, Himari has more tricks up her sleeve. As Yuki and Himari jump into the air for their next attack, Yachiho pulls out a special gun that can be used within the Meito. Since her opponent is in the air right now, Yachiho plans to freeze time and fire her gun at Himari and Yuki. But Yuki uses his powers to strengthen his legs and kicks Yachiho in the face. In retaliation, Yachiho rewinds time again and plans to wait for Himari to come towards her again, so that she can use the opportunity to freeze time and shoot her sister point blank. Yachiho uses her special move and freezes time for 5 seconds. She expects Himari to be frozen in front of her, but it seems that her plan was see-through because Himari and Yuki have moved across the arena. Himari uses Yuki's speed to quickly move around Yachiho, not giving her an opportunity to attack. Everyone is impressed by the speed at which the duo is moving and watch as they launch strong attacks from the momentum of their speed. Yachiho is angry and shoots Himari, but her attacks are useless. Himari's plan is to make use of Yachiho's ability against her and make her exhausted by constantly trying to freeze or rewind time. But Yachiho has already figured out Himari's plan, and this time, she freezes time for 10 seconds. This gives her enough time to run over to Himari and Yuki's position and shoot them. When time flows again, the bullets fired by Yachiho hit the duo and both of them collapse. Himari is severely injured and now she has to suffer through Yachiho's ego trip. She believes that once again her loser self has messed things up, but Yuki encourages her to continue. He points out that Yachiho is exhausted and they are close to achieving victory. Himari is motivated by Yuki's words and gets back up. This time, Himari and Yuki charge towards Yachiho, but instead of attacking her, Yuki transforms back into a human. The light and confusion from this commotion causes Yachiho to become blindsided. Even though she manages to freeze time for 5 seconds, she doesn't shoot because all she can see is Yuki. All of a sudden, Himari emerges from below and shoots Yachiho in the throat. With this final move, Himari is declared the winner and everyone in the 7th squad celebrates Himari's victory. Once the duel ends, Yuki, Himari, and Yachiho are healed. Before they leave the arena, Yachiho tries to make a laughable attempt to win her sister back, but epically fails. The 7th squad is Himari's home now, and she isn't going anywhere. Yuki and Yachiho go back to the dormitory where the time for the reward arrives. Himari kisses Yuki, but this time she isn't feeling shy and shoves her tongue down his throat. Himari is grateful for Yuki's help and takes the reward one step forward by biting his lips. She continues to kiss him and does a complete 180 on her opinion of Yuki once she experiences his harem potential. While they continue to suck each other's face, Shushu listens in on them and is shocked that this is the price that comes with Kyuka's ability. When Shushu finds out that the other girls get to reward Yuki like this, she feels incredibly jealous. She wants to plant her melons on top of Shuki as well. The next duel starts, and this time, Shushu will go against Sahara Wakasa, another member of the 6th squad. Both of the girls are built like a Pixar mom and are experts in hand-to-hand combat. They decide not to use their abilities for the first half of the fight. The match begins, and Sahara tries to kick Shushu, but the other girl grabs onto her leg and spins her around. Shushu then slams her body into Sahara. Their duel seems more like the start of a bad hentai, as the two girls body each other. Sahara starts feeling sleepy in the middle of the match and demands to use her ability. Shushu doesn't back down and immediately turns herself super big, while Sahara triggers her powers and turns into a Super Saiyan. Sahara's ability can only last for 3 minutes, so she has to make it count. When Shushu tries to punch her down, Sahara dodges and slams Shushu away. The big girl then tries to stomp on her opponent, but Sahara attacks her ankles, causing Shushu great pain. It seems that Shushu's big size makes her an easy target as Sahara throws several rocks towards her direction and then completely knocks her out. Shushu falls over while her squad watches with worry. She is embarrassed that Yuuki has to see her in such a state, as if she isn't already a walking joke. But she gets all fired up and rushes towards Sahara. She makes herself even more big and slams her entire body into Sahara, even though her opponent tries to dodge. Shushu then picks up Sahara and slams her into the ground. For a moment, it looks like Shushu may have won, but she only triggered Sahara's special state. When she loses consciousness, Sahara loses control of her body and becomes even more powerful. She manages to pick up Shushu's huge body and slams her into the ground with full force. This is the end for Shushu because she is unable to get back up. The duel ends and Sahara is declared the winner. Shushu is healed and wakes up feeling embarrassed by her defeat. Even the fact that her melons are out in full display doesn't freak her out, and she slowly goes back to the dormitory crying about her defeat. Yuki follows her and tries to comfort Shushu. He wants to help her out, and she knows just how to take advantage of the situation. Shushu asks Yuki to close his eyes for a second. She then comes out of her room with her bouncers exposed and kisses Yuki. He is left feeling flustered by the whole thing and backs away, but Shushu only laughs it off, hiding her true feelings for Yuki. Back at the arena, Kyuka asks Nei to use her abilities to conduct a quick search of the area in case there are any Shuki present. But instead of finding monsters, Nei finds a couple of strange-looking humans, and they catch her spying on them. All of a sudden, the entire arena is surrounded by all sorts of Shuiki, and a strange-looking man who calls himself Raren approaches the barrier and breaks it down. The defense realize they actually have a job and spring into action. Kyuka takes care of the bigger Shuki and swiftly brings it down. Yuki and Shushu quickly join the battlefield. Sahara and Shushu team up together to kill the monsters, while Himari goes against Raren. The guy is incredibly strong and blocks Himari's gunfire with ease. He summons lightning from above and attacks Himari, but she is saved by Yachiho just in the nick of time. Himari leaves her sister to deal with Raren while she rushes towards Kyuka and requests to ride Yuki as well. Kyuka accepts because she believes that with two masters, Yuki will be able to transform into a more powerful beast, which is precisely what happens. Yuki merges both of his forms into one powerful beast. His attacks become even more powerful, and he spits out a destructive beam of fire that annihilates everything in sight. Meanwhile, Nei watches over the battle from a safe distance, and she lets Jinna see her vision as well. Jinna gets super excited as she watches the other Defense Force members demonstrating their power in such an intense fight. Her clothes grow a mind of their own and explode when she thinks about the other girls fighting. Back on the battlefield, Yachiho continues to fight Raren, but the guy is persistent. He manages to destroy one of Yachiho's arms so that she cannot pose and use her abilities, but she just uses her legs instead and rewinds time by 5 seconds. Her arm returns back to normal, but now she is exhausted and does not have the strength to continue. Raren fires up and begins to unleash a powerful attack, but Tenka steps in. Her aura is definitely a lot more menacing, and even Rain realizes that she is someone who holds great power. Tenka has already destroyed all of the Shuki nearby, and her next target is Raren. Is this the end? For now.